All right. What's up, everybody? It's Michelle Renee from IamMichelleRenee.com, and I am so excited to have this beautiful, amazing, who also happens to be one of my dope sorors, but I'm not going to even go into that right now. Here with me today, hey, beautiful, can you tell everybody your name, where you're from, and what your brand is?
Hello, Michelle. It's so wonderful to be with you today, man. I don't know. I'm super excited to be here, and my name is Kimberly Calmes Crowder. I am originally from Starkville, Mississippi. I now reside in Chesapeake, Virginia, and my brand is Magnolia, Belle, Pastries, and Sweets.
And listen, honey, when I tell you, you put all the magnolia in those pastries and sweets, yes,
I
sis, like
try my best. I'm telling you, that's my foundation. That's my background. That's my history. To tell you a little bit about my brand and how it got started. Um, Really, to be honest, starting what I was doing was just at home. I was being an at-home mom. I have a 14-year career in the banking industry. That's what I do part-time, and the other part-time is curating my business. But how I got started is I became a mom of three. My ex-husband's oldest child came to live with us, and then we had two smaller children. So we decided that I would go part-time so that we could have someone in the home. And in that time, I'm a creative. So I'm always thinking of new ideas, thinking of things to do, dibbling and dabbling and everything. But cooking has always been something that I've done because I was raised by my grandmother down in Mississippi. I do that good down home hard cooking. But during that time I was home with my children, I would watch TV while they were at school and I was home being a homemaker. And I became fascinated with pastries and sweets. And I would watch the Food Network and I would want to try to recreate what I saw on TV. So, and I did a lot of that because, to tell you the truth, like I said, I did it for myself because I was hundreds of miles away from home. I'm from Mississippi. All of our family was in Mississippi. I missed my grandmother had passed away by that time, and I missed her. I missed my family. So I did what came natural to me and what I saw my grandmother do, which was cook. And it brought me so much joy. It made me feel at home. It made me feel at peace. So really, I started doing what I do for me. So that it could bring me comfort because I was so far away from home. But then, I started.
I get that. Oh, I get that.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was really for me. And then tell you how God works. You're doing something to heal yourself. And He gave me that. He gave me my relationship with my grandmother, who was a God-fearing woman. She raised me since I was 6 months old. So I have an old soul because of her.
Yeah.
But it made me feel closer to her. And through what she taught me and how she taught me to cook, God gave me peace, right, about where I was. And then I began to share my creations on Facebook. I was just posting what I was doing. I wasn't trying to have an audience. It made me feel good, to see what I'd created, right?
Yeah.
And it made me feel at peace. So then I would post it, and then here comes all of these people saying, "Wow, look at what you did. Look at that. Looks so good." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I just did this because it made me feel good. It made me feel closer to my grandmother." And so for something that my grandmother taught me to do, which brought me peace, it brought joy and wonder to other people.
See how that works?
Really, like I had no idea it would turn out that way. Yeah. So I was posting things on Facebook, and I'll tell you, out of the blue one day, I don't know if you know Shantae Hinton, but she is Miss USA 2002.
Yes.
Shantae Hinton. Right. So the funny thing about Shantae is we grew up together. We went to Starkville High School together, and we cheered together. Right. Wow. So at that time, 2014, she was a member of the local news station. So she called me one day. I don't know how she got my number. She called me and she wanted to know the next time I was going to be home in Starkville, Mississippi, because they were um, doing this segment called Cooking with the Locals.
Oh, wow.
And she had been seeing my food on Facebook and she wanted to know if I would do a segment the next time I came home. So, of course, it scared me half to death. I was like, I'm just in my kitchen cooking. Like, you want me to come on the news and do a segment? Like, I didn't even know what all that entailed. But I did it scared. I said, okay, I'll do it. I'll never step out of my comfort zone if I don't just do it.
That's right.
So I went home. I did it at my mother-in-law's house. They drove out to Louisville, Mississippi, and we cut the segment. She was so amazed at the job I did. And she told me that day, she said, listen, she said, people are going to want to know how to contact you.
Yep.
And at that point, I had sort of kind of been thinking about maybe doing something with it, but not, really.
Yeah.
So I created an email because that's all I had. I didn't have a website or anything. It was Magnolia Belle 2014 at gmail.com. And that day, Magnolia Belle was born, and that name, I was trying to figure out what to do about my name. And of course, we know the state flower of Mississippi is Magnolia. And we know women in the South pretty much known as Belles. Yeah. So it just kind of went together for me, and it stuck from there. So from that day in 2014, Magnolia Belle was born.
That is such a beautiful development of yourself. More importantly, like I want to focus on how that developed yourself, self-care, self-esteem. It sounds like,
yes,
self-love. You were able to take a space where you were feeling alone, feeling afraid, and you said something profound and doing it scared. And I think that's important. Doing it scared. I told you before we started recording that I don't even know how I ended up doing what I'm doing right now, but I'm happy about it. And every week that a new thing happens with it, I get a little nervous, but I'm like, okay, God, I know you're guiding this, so I'm not gonna trip. You do what you do with it. So I think that's so important for women to hear, is that you may not have the full on plan. I hear people say, well, I got to get this done and get this done and get this done before I can start. And I'm like, nope, just start. Just start. Everything else is going to fall into place. That is so exciting. So now we've got a email address that has birthed a company, right? Tell us about like what happened next. Did you go to culinary school? Are you just self-trained? Are you just this creative who's able to look at these things and do whatever? Because I've watched, right? One, the development of your designs and your creative creations as far as the aesthetics, absolutely beautiful. You make gorgeous food. But then I see the reviews of the things that you create. So I know it's also amazingly tasty. But one thing that gets me is that you put your grandmother into every single thing, from her recipes to her jams and preserves to literally everything. So tell me about how you're able to take that and then really curate that into who you are as really a chef, as a confectioner.
Thank you. Really, it's amazing to me that the upbringing that I've had with my grandmother has affected me so much. As a young girl, and I think a lot of young women in this day and age, they may not have the experience that I've had with the type of grandmother I had, because the grandmothers of this generation are totally different.
Right.
But I had the grandmother, no nonsense grandmother, who was the homemaker. Every day I came home, we had hot food on the table. We had breakfast in the morning. Like, she was the epitome of what a grandmother is, who was raising her grandchildren. So being raised by a person like that, how can I say, even my upbringing was different, because I would, instead of going outside to play, of course I did that, but I would sit down in front of her and watch her cook. And she had so much joy in allowing us to taste what she was cooking as she was cooking it. Because as soon as we, would tell her, oh, Ma, that's so good, her smile would be so big. It was like, that was her purpose. Her purpose was to be able to create something that brought joy to us. So that translates to my life now. When I cook for my kids, I'll go all the way out just because I want to see that smile on their face. And that comes from my grandmother doing that for us. It doesn't have to be, anything grand or special event. It can be a Tuesday night, and I will do something and make it beautiful and hope that it tastes amazing just for my kids. So that translated over to what I do in anything that I do. So when I do what I do, especially cooking, I try to do it at a level where my kids know the effort and work that I put into it, and that I can know the effort and work that I put into it and know that they love what I'm doing. Now, as far as being trained, I am self-taught in a lot of things. Again, it came from me being at home, watching the Food Network and trying to duplicate a lot of those things. But I did have a burning desire to get further education because one day I do want to open a bakery, and that requires the use of commercial equipment, knowing the food industry. So there are a lot of more things that are involved when it comes to running a business of that nature. So I did go to culinary school for a year. And it provided an opportunity for me to learn how to work commercial equipment, basic skills about the food industry, how to order food, how to operate on a commercial level. And those are the things that I know that I will put into play later on down the road. But for right now, I am a home bakery, and you can have a home bakery in the state of Virginia. And I operate solely from my home. So I'm allowed to do that, which is great because I'm a little small business, and it allows me to still have my banking career, which I've been in for 14 years now. And then it allows me to have time for my passion, which is baking and pastry. And I continue to push myself and try to learn as much as I can, because even though people enjoy the work that I do, I'm always trying to push myself because I'm a little bit of a home baker and a little bit of a pastry chef. Now, people all call me a pastry chef, but there are certain levels to the pastry chefness.
Right.
There are levels to that thing. And so I try to take a little bit from everywhere, because that home bakery side is a treasured side for me, because it's the side my grandmother resides on. It's the side where where you put the love in what you do, and you take the time, and it's the patience and the flavor profiles, and you create all of those things on that side. And then the pastry chef side is the technique. It's the look of it. It's the way you present it. It's the packaging. It's, all of those things. So I take the best of both worlds, hopefully, and create what Magnolia Belle is to me, and what it is, hopefully what I'm showing to everyone else.
Absolutely. The picture that you gather when looking at what you create. Some of my favorite things, because of course, I've been following you for years and looking and enjoying from afar. Create. But one of my favorite times is when your kids' birthdays roll around. Because some of the creations that you make for these birthday cakes, or even their meals, you're like, how did she come? Like, literally, it's like some planning. Or even as you were doing, I don't know if it was popsicles you were making. But you had drawn out your plan. You were like,
can I tell you, I have the most fun, Michelle, when I'm making things for my kids. It's really funny because when I'm creating something or making something for a client, it's a little bit more pressure.
Yes,
and I'm a little bit more, it really is. But when I'm doing something for like my friends or my kids, that's when I have the most fun. And that's when I allow myself to kind of be open about what I do. I'm a little bit more careful when I'm with my clients, because, some people have what they want, and you got to give them what they want. But I'm so much more of a creative. So, and those who really know me, when they put in an order for something, they'll say, "Oh, I trust you. You do your thing.
Yeah.
And I love that.
Yeah.
So I
Those
do.
are
I
my
have the
favorite
most
kind of
fun.
everything though. My favorite
Right.
diners, my favorite chefs, my favorite
And if you
confectionery.
understand an artist,
Yeah,
yes, if you understand artistry and if you understand a creative mind, you never stifle a creative. You
absolutely.
let them do what their heart, because it's emotional.
Absolutely.
Um, I had to learn a hard lesson because I'm really emotional. Like Erica Badu says, she
I'm
what she
sensitive
say?
about my stuff. So
Okay, all
sensitive
right.
about
Me too. And so I get like that so much so that if I feel like I don't do a good job for a client, I won't charge them. Even if I put in all that work, I know it's tough. It's because I did not come into this thing really as a business. It evolved into a business. I
it's a
came
passion.
into it because I love what I do, and it comes from a different part.
I
So
get
I have to learn how to insert that business part a lot because if I don't feel good about what I do, I have a hard time charging for it. It's because what I do comes from a different place.
and I believe that and I respect that so much. And that is why there's a fine line with creatives and them moving into the business aspect. Like I tell everybody, I said, just because you enjoy doing something doesn't mean that you have to turn into a business.
Right.
People miss that. They want everybody to be an entrepreneur and everybody to, oh, LLC this and that. I'm like, but sometimes that takes away from the joy that a person has with what they do because
Mhm.
now it becomes a task and it's not a labor of love. It's just
And
a job. And you don't want that. You want your passion to drive it. And so I totally relate to what you're saying. I really
yeah,
do.
and that's why I operate the way I do in my home business because it's just me, right? And I do turn people away because I don't want to be overwhelmed because I love what I do more than I want it to be this booming thing where I'm slaving like a machine. And I do put in that work. My kids see me up in the middle of the night because being a baker, you really have to love it because it requires a lot of effort and time. Um, there are people who like to bake, but baking in pastry is a skill. It's something you have to learn how to do because doughs take time to rise. You have
Yeah.
to know how it feels. You have to know the temperature in the room. If it's too hot, you have to know how that's going to affect what you do. And a lot of times it'll it'll wipe out everything that you've done.
Yeah,
And
that's
you could have put in hours of work. And so if you don't have a love and a drive for that thing, baking and pastry is not for the faint of heart.
right.
It
That's
is
right.
not for the faint of heart. So that's why I operate the way I do because when I do open my pastry, I'm going to open it like an artist does. Because when you come to an artist, like we just said a few minutes ago, you don't tell them what you want. You come in to see what an artist has created.
That's right.
So when you come into my bakery in the future, you will come in to see what I've created and what you can buy. It's going to be like the candy factory for adults. When you
Yeah.
walk into a candy factory, it's like, oh my gosh, look at everything that's here. And it makes you excited, it makes your heart, palpitate. You know you're going to have something
Those
good.
kind of bakeries though. Like when I go
Yes.
to Boston or when I go to New York or when I go to DC or Chicago, I'm looking for those small bakeries that I can go
Ugh.
in and I know that I won't find whatever I'm getting there anyplace else.
Right. And it's not going to be the same thing. It's not going to be cookie cutter. It's going to be what's in season and it's going to be what the pastry chef saw and it's going to be something new and it's going to be something different. It's exactly what I want to do. And that's why I take custom orders. I can do those custom cookies. That's fine. But when it comes to my pastries and things like that, I'm the creator. I'm the artist. And that's the way I want it to be. I want people to walk in and say, what has Magnolia Belle created today? What
I think
goodies
that
does she
actually
have?
draws people to come back though. Because it's
Absolutely.
that mystery in
Right.
what am I gonna get today? What are my taste buds gonna be in for today? Like,
Exactly.
honey, you gonna make me buy a home and just because my husband knows how I am about pastries and just food that's prepared with love. And my mom is a culinary artist.
Yeah.
So her food has always been prepared with love. And I can relate to sitting with her and watching her cook or watching her. Like she didn't even know all that and her and all of her kids could cook because we watched and
Mhm.
just picked it up kind of just in happenstance. It wasn't something that we applied to do. It's just like, okay, it was kind of bred into us. And that's that Mississippi thing. That's that Mississippi old school mama, grandma thing.
And it was such a flow. It was such a
Yes.
flow. It was like, this is how it is. You know nothing different. You've not seen anything different. It is the flow of how your mother operated. And that because that flow was so easy and you saw that every day, it was an easy energy for you to pick up. It was an easy way of life for you to pick up. And that's how it was with my grandmother. It just evolved that way because that's what you saw.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
You've covered so much. You've told us what's happening in the future with Magnolia Belle. You've told us how you operate. You told us your motivation. You told us kind of your mission and how your brand got started. Now I want you to tell us how we can find you. What are you doing?
So really how I operate is from my pictures. I find something in my mind or think of something I want to create and I post it to my Instagram. My Instagram handle is Magnolia Belle Pics. And usually that's how I get my orders. I post to my Instagram, it goes to my personal Facebook. And unfortunately for some, it's just local for most of the things that I post, but I do make custom cookies and custom cookies can range from absolutely anything. And those are the things that I have found a way to ship to people all over the United States. I've shipped to California. I've shipped to a lot of different places. I will say this, I'm more likely to ship in the fall and winter time because my custom cookies have a icing on the top of them. And, during the winter times, not winter time, summertime, it's hot.
It's melting. Yeah.
And, I spend hours of time creating designs and I don't want those to melt in the mail. So I typically take those custom cookie orders during the fall and winter months. But everything else I do provide for my clients locally and they can find me on Instagram and Facebook.
I absolutely love that. Is there anything else that you would want people who are watching this to know about you, the woman, or you, the professional?
I'll say this. I want people to know that Magnolia Belle is a company that comes from the heart. My prayer is that one day I am allowed to expand, to touch people in a way, and in a way that they will come and experience what I provide, and it brings them to a point of nostalgia, um, joy, wonder. And as far as my African American community goes, because I am an African American woman, I want people to know that Magnolia Belle, when I think of my company, I think of it as a mirror to our community, so that my community, when they look at Magnolia Belle, they can see themselves in our flavor profiles, those
Yeah.
things that our grandmothers fed us when we were young, those peach cobblers and those pound cakes and those things, especially in the South that we know of. I want you to see our flavor, our culture, how beautiful we are, because in the pastries and the things that I make, I want you to see the beauty in them, as well as how great they taste. That's all a reflection of our community,
And
the
our
people in it,
absolutely.
everything that we've come from, our history, our ancestors, our grandmothers, those people that come before us took little of nothing and made things that were amazingly tasty. Like
Yeah.
a lot of our history comes from the food, that we had, and we didn't have a lot, but they took those things and they worked hard with them. They put love in them. They put time and effort. And when we tasted them as children and as recipients of that food, we felt everything they put in it.
Yep.
So when it comes to Magnolia Belle, I want people who experience my food and my pastries to really have that kind of experience. An experience that makes you think of where you come from, the people who touched your lives, and those things that you ate when you were a child that make you go back and think about all of those good times, all of those memories, all of the wonderful people that touched your life that may have fed you when you were a child. So Magnolia Belle is a mirror of all of those things. And if I can invoke that experience with people, I think Magnolia Belle will have done what God placed in me for it to do.
You
So.
just invoked it with words for me. So I like literally I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I'm like, yes, to every
Yeah.
single piece of that. And
Mhm.
immediately as you're talking, I'm thinking about my grandmother. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about my mom. I'm thinking about, tea cakes and pound cakes and sweet potato pies and figs and
And doesn't it
corn
make you
shells and
feel
preserves. And I'm like,
it
I one,
brings
I need to
something?
make a trip home.
Yes.
Oh, you just
Yes.
like, I don't want to lose that. Like I want to
Right.
make sure that I'm able to share that with my girls so they can have those
Absolutely.
same memories.
Absolutely.
Thing that I can tell you that you've inspired me personally. You have inspired me personally is the way that you prepare things for your children because of how you do it with such a love to where I was like, I wanted to be intentional about that kind of interaction for my girls and with
Yes.
my girls. And so being able to take some time and say, hey, this weekend we're going to bake this or we're going to make this together. So they, one, are able to do it, but also they have a memory of sitting in the kitchen with their mom. The other week, they made breakfast for me in bed, and I was like, because I was tired, and they were like, "Well, we noticed you were tired, and you get up every day and make sure that we
Mm.
eat. So we wanted to do it for you." And I sat there and cried because I was like, "Wow, like thank you."
It really brings tears to my eyes too, because those are the memories. That's why, and I don't want to,
No, I get it.
it's the very reason why I began to cook in the first place, because of those memories of my grandmother
Yes.
and how she cared for me in making those meals and feeding me the way she did. She fed me spiritually and she fed me naturally. And those two things go hand in hand. And if we can give those things to our children, it sits so deep within their soul, because it did mine as well. So much so till it's why I am where I am here today.
It's
So,
why you are who you are,
indeed,
and it's why
indeed.
your babies are going to be who they are, because you're not straying away from what was poured into you. And that's so powerful. So I pray that all that you desire for Magnolia Belle to be comes into fruition. So I pray increase over all of that for you. But
Thank you.
even in that, I pray that this legacy that you're creating in food and love continues on through your babies and through so many others.
Thank
Because
you so much.
the love that you have, one for your grandmother, but also for your family, you put it on display. Not for show though. You put
Right.
it on display to let it be known that this is the way I love my family. This is how I love them. And I want to shower them with this kind of love. And imagine having food be soul food and soul food.
Yes. Oh, that's good.
Like you are
Absolutely.
literally feeding your baby souls and you're feeding their spiritual soul and their physical soul. That's powerful. So
Yes.
you, honey, I
That's
am
the epitome of love through food.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. It emanates from you. And when I reached out to you, I was like, I hope that she's willing to like share because I really feel like we're all given a specific ministry and
Mm.
yours happens to be in the way that you love and prepare food. And that's
Yes.
a blessing, right? Everybody can't do it. So to
Absolutely.
know that it's something that's going to feed you to your core, and then to also have it where you feel warm. Like you ever
Yes.
had it where your grandmother prepared stuff and you literally felt like you got a hug.
Right. Absolutely.
And so now you're
It's
doing that, and I
transformative.
know you created stuff where you've eaten it and said, you know what, my grandma would be proud. Like you felt like you got a
Yes. Absolutely.
that's oh my gosh, you have like literally you got chill. My hair is standing up on my arms right now. So I'm so
Yes.
blessed to have had this time with you. I'm so grateful. This is my last question.
Okay.
It's the hardest one, and I always ask it, but I'm always interested to hear how women answer this question. So,
Okay.
what is one word that affirms who you are?
One word that affirms who I am. Understanding.
Yes.
Because to be understood for me is the most important thing. Because if someone understands who you are, that means they've taken the time to pay attention to you, to listen to you, and to know you. Understanding takes those things. And if someone takes the time to listen to you, to understand you, to know you, it means they love you.
Mm. Now you're gonna make me cry. Because I've not heard that one yet. 30 something interviews later, and I've not heard understanding. But you just spoke to my soul, because as a woman, to be understood,
Mm,
and to have a person listen to you, not just hear you,
yes.
but listen to you. And I tell people all the time, like, when you listen to a woman, like, and you really listen to her, you hear her heart song.
Yes. Yes.
You hear what drives her. You hear what motivates her. You also hear what has hurt her and attempted to break
Mm,
her.
yes.
And if you know those things and you love her, you don't use them in a way that's going to further hurt her. You use them
Absolutely.
in a way that's going to build her up and make sure that she knows that she's loved, protected, and in a safe
Yes.
space. So,
It-
wow, you just
yes.
kind of you.
Understanding brings about all of that. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I guess that's why the word says, "In all you're getting understand, get some understanding."
Yes, ma'am.
It's listen,
Understanding is the key.
it
It's the key
is.
to everything else. If you understand, that means all of those other things are already in play.
Mm,
When someone understands you, they know you and they love you because they've taken the time.
wow.
Mm,
Okay. Okay.
yes, ma'am. I
Okay.
love it.
Okay.
You and I both have shed tears on this here
Listen.
interview. And it's
Listen.
beautiful. I love it. Thank you. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
thank you. The most amazing thing that I get from this, outside of just sitting and talking to dope black women, it is this is how I get my bucket filled.
Mm,
It's seeing and hearing women express their love and the things that drive them and what makes them happy and what keeps them motivated, and giving them a space to literally express love for themselves,
yeah.
because we don't often get that.
Right.
um
Right.
or sometimes we're made to believe that it's selfish to love what we do, or love how we love, or love what we love. And
Right.
so I hope that in our conversation, that you felt loved, and
Absolutely.
that you know that your love is being seen and understood, and that you know that God is making room for your love to be shared with so many more people. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
grateful for you. Oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for
Thank you so
you. This
much.
is just the ministry I needed today. I'm so excited.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody, make sure you go and check my sis out. Magnolia Belle Pics on IG. Check out what she's creating. She's got some of the most amazing food creations, her pastries. Listen, you need to see what she got going on, because you don't want to be on the back end on the wait list when that bakery opens up and you got to wait in line for days. You need to know beforehand. So I thank you so much for spending this time with us. Everybody go check her out and follow, like, share, and just lift this dope black woman up, because she's about to do something major that we probably ain't even ready for.
Oh, thank you so much, sis.
No,
I appreciate you.
thank you.